Welcome to The Explainer. So picture this. It's 2010, and the biggest tech company on the planet makes this absolutely shocking threat to pull out of the world's biggest market. And this wasn't about profits or business deals. No, this was about a secret digital war that had been raging for months, completely under the radar. This is the story of Operation Aurora.
And it all started with these words on a corporate blog post of all places. In early 2010, Google just drops this bombshell, right? And it sends these massive shockwaves all the way from Silicon Valley to Beijing. You have to understand, they weren't just tweaking a policy. They were seriously threatening to pack up and leave China entirely.
So you gotta ask yourself, what could possibly be so serious that a massive company would even think about walking away from a market with 1 billion people? The answer? A really sophisticated, widespread, and honestly a deeply alarming cyber attack that had been going on for months, completely in the shadows.
All right, so let's get into it. When Google finally decided to go public with what was happening, the details they shared were, wow. They were even more shocking than their threat to leave China.
So, in their big announcement, Google comes out and says, hey, we've been the victim of this huge, very sophisticated hack. But here's the kicker. It wasn't just about them. They confirmed that at least 20 other major companies had been hit too. And that number, well, it would just keep growing, eventually hitting more than 30. This was no random attack. This was a coordinated assault.
And you know, what really sets this whole thing apart is just the sheer scale of the operation. We're not talking about some random smash and grab here. This was a meticulously planned digital heist, on a level nobody had really seen before.
I mean, just look at this list of targets. It reads like a who's who of the American economy. You've got tech giants like Adobe and Yahoo, sure, but also huge defense contractors, major financial institutions, the whole 9 yards. This was a broad, systematic espionage campaign. Security firm McAfee would later give it the name we all know now, Operation Aurora.
So what were they really after? What were they trying to steal? Was it, customer credit card numbers, user passwords? No. The main target was something way more fundamental, way more valuable to these companies.
The attackers were going after what Dmitry Alperovich from McAfee perfectly described as the crown jewels. They were after the source code repositories. Think about that. They wanted the secret recipes, the core intellectual property, the very DNA that made these companies giants in their fields.
But, and this is a huge but, this wasn't just about corporate spying. Google also revealed a clear political angle. The hackers were specifically trying to get into the Gmail accounts of Chinese human rights activists. Now, they only managed to breach 2 accounts and didn't get much, but the intent was crystal clear.
So, the big question is, how did they pull it off? How did they manage such a massive and sophisticated heist? Well, let me tell you, the methods they used were light years beyond your typical phishing scam.
They used a weapon that cybersecurity experts absolutely dread, a zero-day vulnerability. What does that mean? Basically, they found a flaw in Microsoft's Internet Explorer that nobody knew about, not even Microsoft. And because no one knew about it, there was no patch, no defense, nothing. It was like having a master key to a lock that no one even realized was there.
It was this really clever multi-stage infiltration. It would start with an employee just, visiting a website that looked totally normal, but it was compromised. That website would then use the Internet Explorer flaw to secretly install malware on their computer. And that malware, it opened up a secret backdoor, letting the attackers slip right inside the company's network. From there, they could move around silently, totally undetected, find the source code, and sneak it out.
Okay, so who is behind all this? As security researchers started to unravel the attack, they traced it all back to this highly skilled group they called the Elderwood Group. And all the evidence, the tools they used, their techniques, the intelligence, it all pointed in one very clear direction: China's People's Liberation Army.
But what was the motive for this gigantic, state-sponsored cyber espionage campaign? Well, get this. A diplomatic cable leaked by WikiLeaks pointed to a surprisingly personal reason. Apparently, a senior member of the Chinese Politburo ordered the attack after he Googled his own name and didn't like what he saw. Seriously.
So, when Google took their public stand, it did more than just expose a hack. Oh no, it ignited a full-blown diplomatic firestorm.
The reaction around the world was immediate, and it was intense. I mean, within days, the US government was demanding answers from China. Then, in a move you almost never see, Germany and France actually warned their own citizens to stop using Internet Explorer altogether. That forced Microsoft to scramble and rush out an emergency patch. The whole situation was escalating fast.
And on the ground in Beijing, you had these little acts of protest. Some citizens actually left flowers at Google's headquarters as a sign of support. But security guards swooped in and quickly removed them, calling it an, get this, illegal flower tribute. Meanwhile, of course, official Chinese sources were claiming the whole thing was just some kind of strategy cooked up by the U.S. government.
So here we are more than a decade later. Why are we still talking about this? Why is an attack from that long ago still so important? What exactly is Aurora's lasting shadow?
It's because Operation Aurora was the moment the rest of the world kind of woke up to a new kind of danger, the Advanced Persistent Threat, or APT. And that term, it's perfect for what this was. It wasn't a quick smash and grab. It was a stealthy, patient, state-sponsored campaign built for long-term spying.
Really, the legacy of Aurora is just immense. It blew the lid off the true scale of state-sponsored corporate spying. It forced companies to start treating their source code like it was gold in a fortress. It completely changed the relationship between Silicon Valley and Beijing. And it took technical jargon like zero-day and APT and put it right on the front page of the world's newspapers.
Ultimately, Operation Aurora was a true watershed moment. It was basically a declaration that a new kind of war, this sophisticated, state-backed cyber warfare, wasn't just some sci-fi possibility. It was already happening. And it leaves us all with a pretty chilling question that's probably more relevant today than it ever has been. In this new era, is anyone truly safe